G'day guys and gal, it's always a good feeling when someone calls you a beast. Yo bro, you can bench 3 plates? Fucking beast. My man, you slammed a pair of twins at the same time? Kinda incestual, but you are a beast. Same logic applies to Warhammer, the greatest orc, or I guess orcs, to ever exist in over 60 million years. Orcs so powerful that they did just as much, if not more damage to the Imperium than Horus, were aptly called the Beast. As it is October and I am feeling mighty festive, I thought today we would dive into the very strange and hectic lore surrounding the War of the Beast, a time when Kroorks randomly appeared, which was just very unexpected. Today we'll go over the War of the Beast, how the Beast occurred, how much damage he/they did, and why the lore surrounding the random orc apocalypse is so questionable. Let's get into it. As we know, the Emperor was in a bit of a rush to complete the Great Crusade, with the height of the Crusade being the wars against the orcs on Ullanor. It was more like an orc genocide than anything though, but for history's sake, let's just call it a war. A lot of people think that the rush to win the Crusade was in preparation for chaos, but a prominent theory is that it was actually to be prepared for the arrival of the Beast, an orc so powerful that his mere existence upgraded the tech levels of orcs galaxy-wide, an orc that could genuinely body a Primarch and make a Gazkar look like nothing more than a cum stain on a whore's miniskirt. Orcs might seem like a bit of cheeky, harmless fun in the current setting, but if the War of the Beast taught us anything, it's that if you aren't careful, they will bend you over and destroy your rectal cavity. Metaphorically, of course, orcs don't have wieners. Here's how it kicked off. With the end of the Horus Heresy, mankind enjoyed a time of peace and quiet. Most of the Xeno races were still fucked from all the shit that had been kicked in. There were no Necrons, Tyranids, or Tau. Chaos had been sodomized hard during the Scouring and now hid within the Eye of Terror, venting out their rage and frustration upon each other. On top of that, the time of the Emperor and the Primarchs was still fresh. Hence all that dogmatic religious bullshit was not really yet a thing. The Imperium was peaking. However, all good things must come to an end, and in the Imperium's case, it ended extremely hard. See, there was this race of insectoid Xenos that were fluffing about, and the Imperium was like, fuck those guys, and they attacked the insectoids. While they were battling, the planet they were on started having extreme gravitational anomalies for no apparent reason. Well, the reason soon became apparent as a fucking orc Death Star attack moon began to materialize above the planet, and it jizzed out a massive torrent of powerful orcs who decimated the Imperial and insectoid forces alike. Every single Imperial fist bar one died that day, the only survivor being 2nd Captain Corland, whilst the Imperial fleets that engaged were also smashed. Where did the attack moons come from? Unclear. How did the orcs gain so much power despite being crushed during the Great Crusade? Unclear. Why haven't they ever gotten this powerful since the War of the Beast? Unclear. What is clear though is how buggered the Imperium was as more and more attack moons started popping up across the galaxy. World after world fell as a metric shitload of people died. There was so much death that the warp itself began to buckle and drive people insane. Some planets began to worship the greenskins, hoping to be granted mercy. Instead, all the greenskins saw was a bunch of wussy gits that needed crumpin'. Things were not looking good. Since the destruction of the Imperial Fists, all of their successor chapters, the Sons of Dawn, met to decide a course of action. This included the Black Templars, the Crimson Fists, and various others. Corland was like, I am the chapter master of the Imperial Fists, by, virtue of being the only one left. I invoke the Last War Protocol. Yeehaw! The Last War Protocol was a last-ditch plan created by Rogel Dawn in which all Imperial Fist successors would come together and basically reform their legion of old to deal with a very spicy threat. It makes sense that Dawn would do something like this considering how much he hated breaking up his legion into chapters in the first place. While this was going on, the Imperium started playing a lot of politics, like way more than usual, especially since they were faced with annihilation. The Officio Sassinorum were trying to kick people into shape, whilst the Inquisition staged a coup against itself in order to try and take control of the entire Imperium. The High Lord Admiral of the Imperium told the Astra Militarum to suck his nut, as he went off to try claim glory for himself, whilst the Mechanicus started infiltrating the Orc War in a very shady way, and they stopped answering their phone calls. There was definitely not much cohesion going on. The Imperium did score some wins here and there. The Blood Angels wiped out an attack moon that threatened Baal, whilst the Imperial Navy took out another one in a costly space battle, but when an attack moon appeared above Terra itself, mankind collectively shat its pants. In a knee-jerk reaction, they basically said that anyone who wanted to fly up and attack the attack moon was more than welcome. Millions of civilians, soldiers, and Adeptus Arbites flew up, and to their credit, they actually punched through the Orc fleet and they landed on the attack moon. It was almost looking like they could win, until some Orc pressed a button which fucked with the gravity in the moon's surface, instantly crushing the entire Imperial invasion. Oh. What was even more shocking is that an Orc diplomat then came to Terra and spoke in completely fluent Gothic, which is Warhammer's version of English. In polite terms, he told mankind to surrender or die. The Imperium was shocked. This was not a normal Orc. He was large, intelligent, and he didn't have time for their bullshit. The High Lords erupted into chaos and basically started shouting at the Orc and each other. Regardless, the Orc diplomat was wildly unimpressed and decided that mankind was not worthy of the empire that it held. He then departed. As he departed, an Eldar Harlequin strike team infiltrated the Imperial Palace with the intention of delivering a message to the God Emperor of mankind. Now, I'm not sure if the Eldar are just not socially versed in how humans like to deliver messages, but they basically begun slaughtering their way to the Golden Throne, yelling out, "We come in peace," the entire time. Yeah, needless to say, the Custodes didn't get the message, and furiously massacred the Eldar until only one survived, and was captured. A quick note here, the Eldar strike team was able to one-shot multiple Custodian guard, which makes like zero sense. A Custodes should be able to body any Harlequin other than a Solitaire. A lot of people think the author didn't know the difference between a Lucifer Black, who are the less powerful guards of the outer Imperial Palace, and a Custodes, the god tier warriors that guard the inner Imperial Palace. So my headcanon is that the Harlequins slaughtered their way through the Lucifer Blacks and then were quickly stopped by the Custodes, who themselves suffered no casualties. Yeah, at least that's my headcanon. The captured Eldar basically said that Farseer Eldrad and Crawford Ulthway had removed the warp storm surrounding Terra, meaning reinforcements could arrive. She also said that Chaos was going to be a huge pain in the ass in the future. Due to the Eldar's interference, the Sons of Dawns were able to warp jump to Mars, and basically told the Fabricator General to stop being a fucking pussy and lend us a hand. Hence the armies of Mars and the forces of the Last Wall Protocol assaulted the attack moon above Terra. The battle was epic. The attack moon had this thing called a gravity whip, which hurt like a bitch, whilst Orcs the size of dreadnoughts were giving Terminators a run for their money. However, eventually the Orcs were defeated. The Sons of Dawn wished to throw the attack moon into the sun, but the Mechanicus instead insisted it remain for study. To make matters worse, the Lord Commander of the Imperium told the Last Wall Protocol that they were a bunch of cocksuckers for reforming their legion, and that they didn't have permission to enter Terra. At first, Corland, the last Imperial Fist, was like, "Okay, well, you're a dickhead, but we will do as you say," because he wanted to keep the peace. But after the Lord Commander started doing other weird petty shit, Corland was like, "Fuck this," and he removed the Lord Commander from office, instead stationing himself as the Lord Commander of the Imperium. His first action was to figure out what the hell Mars was up to. They had been acting very sus the entire time, and they were not offering the aid that they should have been. It was revealed that the Mechanicus had been trying to reverse engineer Orc technology, more specifically their ability to teleport attack moons around without the use of the warp. Corland didn't have time for this shit, and he basically convinced Mars to back down through a game of chicken and a lot of strong arming. Corland also found out that the seat of the new Orc Empire was on Ullanor. Could have seen that one coming. With this knowledge, the Imperium rallied its greatest forces, including Dark Angels, Blood Angels, Space Wolves, and Ultramarines, and prepared to do the Ullanor Crusade too, Electric Boogaloo. Then out of fucking nowhere, Vulcan appeared. The mad lad was on a planet that he had vowed to protect, as he felt really bad about setting it on fire and genociding everyone there during the Great Crusade. Hence he had been non-stop killing thousands of Orcs for quite some time. Ironically, the more Orcs he killed, the more Orcs attacked the planet, as none could give him a better scrap than the big angry chocolate man. The Imperium rushed to Vulcan's aid, as having a Primarch in your army is a huge vibe. They helped the big man save the planet, and then they were like, "Please take over the Imperium, we have no clue what the fuck we are doing." Vulcan did this, and he led the charge to Ullanor. That's all Vulcan really did though. He had no interest in commanding or offering strategic advice. He just wanted to smack shit really hard with his big fuck off Warhammer. When they arrived on Ullanor, they found it to be heavily developed with Orc settlements and Orc farms. It truly was an Orctopia. The defenses were obscene and a shitload of Imperials died. They only were able to keep advancing because of Vulcan, who tanked an insane amount of damage and dealt even more in return. He was hard carrying the invasion. Finally, Vulcan, the most elite space marines, pushed through to the beast himself, a 10-meter tall monster clad in power armor. In an instant, the beast killed both the Ultramarine and Crimson Fist chapter masters. Fucking imagine that happening in the current setting, leaving Vulcan to face it alone. Corlin saw that Vulcan wanted to have an epic 1v1 boss fight, so he ordered a withdrawal of Imperial forces. The two big men fought, and eventually fell into a power generator full of raw War energy. Vulcan absorbed this power into himself, and somewhat became an orc god for a second, smacking the beast so hard with his hammer that the power generator exploded, and it seemingly killed them both. The explosion killed a ton of orcs, and the psychic backlash destroyed their morale and unity, allowing the Imperial forces to retreat. Sounds like a pretty epic conclusion, right? But no, shit gets even more weird. See, the orcs quickly rallied, and they teleported to the dormant attack moon over Terra, led by another beast, or maybe it was the same beast, hard to know. In response to the beast still being a huge issue, Corlin created the Deathwatch, painting their armor black to honor all their fallen brothers who had died in the War of the Beast, so far. The Deathwatch infiltrated the attack moon and planted a reverse-engineered teleportation device that Mars had whipped up in the hope that it would teleport the attack moon away, and it did. Kinda. See, Mars aren't very good with orc tech, hence only half the planet was teleported away, leaving the other half to basically explode and shower holy terror with a bunch of asteroids, killing hundreds of millions of people. Whoopsies. Corlin needed a new strategy. Brute force didn't work too well. He discovered the location of the last of the Sisters of Silence, and he went to rescue them from an orc attack. They hated the Imperium due to being exiled from it, but they still remained loyal to the Emperor and his Primarchs. Hence, after realizing that Corlin smelt like he'd been hugged by a big sweaty Vulcan, the sisters joined his cause. Corlin then captured some orc weird boys, and he came up with a very odd theory. He wanted to use their connection to the War to inject the sisters' blankness into it, causing the War to shit itself and die. I don't know how he came up with that theory, but after doing a test run and seeing it work very well, they decided that this was their go-to secret weapon. If you are confused by that, then don't worry, everyone is. But here's a good analogy. Imagine your body is a War, and weird boys are needles full of steroids. The more weird boys you have, the more roids you get, the bigger you are. Now imagine that the Sisters of Silence weird blankness was an air bubble in the needle. They would use the weird boys to inject themselves into the War and cause the War to have a stroke. The second invasion of Ullanor began. Corlin and his strike team managed to get to the beast, and they held it off long enough for the sisters to do their reverse fuck you War trick, which worked a treat. The orcs all had a hectic stroke, allowing Corlin to kill the beast. But then 5 more beasts came out of fucking nowhere and killed Corlin. What the fuck? Who wrote this shit? Clearly someone who fucking hated the Imperial fists, as now their chapter was extinct. This was short-lived though, as various successor chapters of Dawn donated Astartes and Geneseed to rebuild the chapter, but yeah, like, modern day Imperial fists aren't even technically Imperial fists. The new Imperial Fist chapter prepared for one final attack on Ullanor. They would not fight as men though, they would fight as beasts. Their invasion began by them redirecting asteroids at Ullanor, which was super effective, before they initiated a ground assault. Once again it was tough, but yeah, blah blah, orcs go boom boom blah, heroes end up in front of the beasts for a hectic showdown. Once again, the sisters do their anti-psycho fuck you thing, which for whatever reason works a lot better this time around, and it causes all the beast heads to pop, crushing the War and leading to a random ass galaxy-wide Imperial victory. In the aftermath, the Imperial Fist decided to stop garrisoning their entire force on Terra, hence begun to crusade across the galaxy once again, whilst the rest of the Imperium rebuilds. The War of the Beast was the most overly drawn out thing ever, like surely it should have ended with Vulcan's hectic duel and sacrifice. Why did Ullanor need to get invaded like fucking 2 or 3 times? Why was there like 6 beasts? Even ending with Corlin's death would have been a pretty good time, but no, they had to do it again. It's not all bad. We got to see the origins of the Deathwatch, a lot of Imperial Fist action, the brief return of a Primarch, and orcs in all their terrifying glory. Like, the beasts may not have even been proper Krorks yet, but they were still as strong as Vulcan. It really puts into perspective how fucking hectic the war in heaven would have been. How did the beast, or the beasts, actually come to be? Was it explained? Not really. Some people say that the beasts were from the spores of the orc leader during the first Ullanor crusade. It would make some sense. If some orcs were given over 1,000 years to fight each other and grow, then maybe they could achieve that kind of power, but yeah, it's still a bit questionable. I'm all for the orcs and other Xenos being scary, but GW should at least do it in a way which doesn't make the average Warhammer fan feel like a retard. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place to be. Only $1 per month give you access to a boatload of hentai, which does include femboy orc hentai, so yeah, do with that information what you will. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the real subscribe button for more beastly content. Join the Discord for more memes, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.